The time of year has come when you need to buy presents. What time of year is that? I don't know when you're watching this, but I assume that time is now. If you watch this channel, if you know someone who watches this channel, there's a good chance you know someone who likes architecture, history, just things that are building related. And you might want to get somebody who likes all those things a gift that they will think is cool. I think I can help with that. Here's a couple ground rules. I've not been paid to say anything about any of these products. I tried to keep them all from like smallish, local-ish businesses, not local to you, not local to me. All of these things are from businesses that I would buy from. I believe everything on this list is under $100, and there are some things that are free. It would just take you some time and a printer. Okay, how we will be going through this list. We are starting with things. We're starting with things, then we're gonna move on to art, and then books. If you wanna say something like, wait, aren't art and books things? Give me a break. Okay, one of my favorite things I've ever got is this amazing Pepin letter writing set. This one I got is botanical, but there's one called Garden and Parks and one called Maps. I think the Garden and Parks are like some of the most beautiful stuff. I guess I'll show you how this one works. So it's like a little box, and what it has here is 40 sheets of writing paper, and then 40 matching envelopes, and then a bunch of assorted stickers and labels. And then there's a selection of different papers. And then beyond that, there's little return to sender stickers, and then stickers that you put on the back of the envelope to make sure it stays sealed. Obviously, these would be different if you got the Gardens and Parks. Yeah, there's some like city block parks that are illustrated. If I didn't have one, I'd buy one. It would be easier to buy this if you lived in the UK, because I believe they are a UK business and you can't order online from their own website in the US from what I can see, but I will put in the bio. There are some people who are selling it here, like smaller gift shops and things like that. So if you like that type of thing, if you like letters, if you like all of that, you might like it. Now, if you think they'd like the letter writing set, I also kind of think it'd be cool to add like a architecture design related stamp. And these 250 years of delivering stamps, they show an entire city scene. It's the art of Chris Ware, who's done a bunch of New York Magazine. Or is it the New Yorker? He's done both. The reason I couldn't figure it out is because he's done both. But yeah, so I think that could be a really cool one. And then if that's not really their style, if they don't like that kind of illustration style, I believe these stamps are still available on the USPS website, and they are shaker design stamps, and they're really gorgeous. So that could be a cool one. But I think that would pair really well with the letter writing set, because then you're given the whole mailing experience. Also with stamps, check USPS.com, because they also have prints of those 250 years of delivering, but done all framed up. And they have like a set of the stamps within a larger piece of art. I think they're pretty cool. If that's something that might interest you, like their gift shop's actually quite good. It was all a trick to get you guys to think about mail. I, years ago, had bought like on Etsy a tissue box holder that made it look like outside of the chimney was coming smoke, but it was actually the tissues. It was really cute. It got lost. And I also can't find any that look as good as the one that I had. But when I was looking around, I found these extremely cool tissue box covers that are using mid-century modern houses and like iconic buildings to make little tissue boxes. It's from this store, Destination PSP. They have like a Palm Springs store, and all of the stuff is kind of designed in like the Palm Springs architectural mid-century modern style. So they took 7 different houses, buildings, and turned them into little tissue boxes. I think they're very cute. They remind me of doll houses. They're really cool. Anyway, they're about $75. But I think this would be fun, especially if you lived in a mid-century modern house. Like, how fun would that be to have on top of your toilet, or to have it kind of anywhere? It makes tissue boxes like art. Yesterday, I'm looking at this website. They have these specific candles, these column candles. I look, double check today, they're gone. What happened? I'm hoping that by the time this comes out, they're back. But they might not be, but if they aren't, we gotta get Scandals back on this. It's a great name for a candle company, and it's a great looking column. We are moving on to art. I have been, for the last 2 months, I've been in this architecture related like mail subscription. What pretty much happens is every month Arts by Trinity mails you an envelope. One part of it is like a postcard with a letter that describes the building, and each month she does her own new little piece. Here's the little letter. Here's the beautiful little postcard you get. And then you also get like a little art project, which is right here. In this case, you can like make your little tablescape. I'll show you the one I did last month. The letter was about the Painted Ladies in San Francisco. Painted Ladies in San Francisco. Very adorable. But then as a little bonus project, she had you cut out and make a little like miniature house. I think this is so cute. I had so much fun doing it. You can read the letter, learn about the style. I just think it's such a fun idea. You can now, she added a gifting option, so you can gift it for like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. That way you can just kind of like give it as a gift and someone can keep getting these like adorable things. I believe it's $8.88 per month to get it, and that includes like shipping, the stamp, all of that. While we're on art, if you had a house that you wanted to be like memorialized in some way, this one is not going to be under $100, I just realized. I know there's this woman, Sarah Rosie. She makes glass houses, like stained glass little houses that are like custom made to look like your house, and you can use it as like an ornament. That's definitely on the more expensive side, but it's also like something being custom made. Oh, and then if you like mid-century modern elements, there's another artist who does custom drawings of buildings that I think is really fun. She also plays with color in a lot of ways. So if you're looking for something that isn't like extremely realistic, but really gets the essence, I really like her stuff. There have often been tax photographs of all sorts of places. They have the New York City Department of Records and Information Services. If you have any family or relatives who ever like lived in New York, had a connection to New York, you can request the tax photos that were taken in the 1940s. They were also taken in the 1980s, but not to be rude, the quality is just like so much worse and doesn't have that like beautiful photo element. There's photos of practically every single building in New York City from the 1940s. You can either buy like just a digital copy of it so that you could print it yourself, or you can order a print of it, and that can take 2 to 4 weeks for the prints to be available. But they're really cool. I think it'd be fun if you had an older relative who used to live in the city who might want their apartment building that they grew up in. There's all sorts of photos that you can find. You can search the entire database and you can take a screenshot or download a smaller copy of all of them. But if you want to have a better version, maybe without watermarks, it'd be nice to order it from the New York City Department of Records. I have talked about this before online. I made a TikTok about it years ago, and tons of people have gotten gifts for their relatives from there. I think it's cute. Like if you've lived in the city and you and your partner went to a restaurant for your first date, like it'd be really cute to show that old building, the 1940s version of the building, just as a little memento. If you're looking for something like that, but you don't want to pay any money and you just want to print it yourself, on the Library of Congress, you can access photos from the HABS, which is the Historic American Building Survey. And in this series, they took photos of all sorts of historic buildings within the entire country. There's a lot more that have been photographed than you think. Often in my videos, I use HABS photos a lot because they're really high quality. You can sometimes see on the corner of when I post a photo, I always like to keep the original, they like wrote on it on the negative, so you can see like the details about it. I like to keep that in the video because I think it's like fun. They say that they've been doing this since 1933 and they photographed about 43,000 historic structures. So I think it'd be very fun. Say if your partner has a writer that they really like. Sometimes their birthplace might be photographed. So many buildings that you wouldn't even think of. You might find them for a local post office in your town. As you can see, my brain can't get out of the mail. But you can find it maybe a city hall local to you. They're simple black and white photos, but they're very beautiful. I'm often like astounded. I love kind of like record keeping photos. So that's why I love these tax photos and these HABS photos. Really beautiful. And there's something a little mundane about them. But on the other hand, it's a photo from like, 80 years ago. It's just cool. There is a whole website where you can search things that are in the Historic American Building Survey. But also, if you're just looking around on the Library of Congress, you'll often run into them. Maybe just search around for buildings that someone you know might like. If you don't find what you're looking for through that Habs, and if you're not connected to New York in any way for the tax photos, I always do love checking eBay. There are so many postcards that are being sold on there all the time of so many buildings. Historically, there were postcards for so much stuff that we don't have postcards for today. So like hotels, restaurants, so much had postcards for it. So if there's ever something that you think your family has some connection to, look on eBay for postcards of that location. Sometimes it's very cool to see like the differences. In my recent video about the hotel bathrooms, the Statler Hotel, which was in Buffalo, New York, I got to see some really good images of it because they had a ton of postcards of the building. So I was just, while I was looking to try and find imagery, I went on eBay and I found a bunch of different ones. I have no connection to the Hotel Statler, but I'm glad they had, what was it? A bed and a bath for $1.50. It couldn't have been that. Maybe it was a bed and a bath for $1.50. I don't know. Either way, those postcards do exist. And if if you had some connection to that, wouldn't it be cool to gift that? Okay, now we're moving on to the reading section. This is Old House Journal, which I've been getting for like 2 or 3 years. Is this great little magazine that talks all about old houses. It's kind of a restoration thing, but I mean, I don't own a house and I still get this. But it shows like gorgeous houses all over. It interviews homeowners who are doing restorations. It kind of shows you a bunch of different ways that people restore houses. But even better, like sometimes they have these little series that'll be like, here's a bunch of different window styles and what they mean and what their uses were or stuff like that. For 6 issues in a year, it's $20, which seems kind of nuts, but I think it'd be a good gift because you're like, oh, here's this thing that I got you that really didn't cost me that much. And like, you will continue to think of me for the full year. And like 5 years ago, I emailed with the editor of this and she was so nice. And she had started this magazine like a long time ago. And it seems to be just like really a few people's passion project. And I like can't believe that they make a whole magazine. So congratulations to them. Okay, and then my last thing that if you have watched this channel, you know I'm just like constantly recommending people get this book because I think it's fantastic. This is A Field Guide to American Houses. This is a 2000s printing. They have recently done a reprint. At some point I'm going to get it where they've added some new sections. I've given it to like nearly every family member that I have. It's perfect. And if you have someone in your life who likes details, I think that this is a really great book. There's photographs of houses all over the country in this. So you could even find potentially a house that's featured in this book that's in your area by looking at the index at the back. Even if you just know someone who likes going for walks, I think that's a great book for them because it really does feel like the type of book that you can see a house, take a photo of it, go home, see if you can guess what it is or what the details are. If you see this style thing, that means it's probably this style. It's just a cool way to identify stuff. And then if I was thinking about like just a fiction book that someone might like that has like an architecture plot line, I'm sure there's so many options for books about houses. But if you're looking for a kind of like classic older book that someone might like, there's this Edith Wharton book called Summer. It's not the most uplifting in the end, but it's got a whole little romance plot line with a guy who's like sketching historic buildings in this woman's like neighbor in her small rural town. It's really short. It's like under 200 pages. And, you know, it's someone like documenting houses, which, you know, if you have someone who likes a book like this, they might also find that to be a fun, like the fiction version of it. Again, it is Edith Wharton, so don't be expecting like happy-go-lucky times. But if you think someone who likes kind of like a sad but beautiful book, might be good. That's everything that's coming to mind right now. I hope this gift guide is helpful. This is definitely a different video than I normally do. This is Kendra Unscripted. If you didn't like this, you've made it a really long way. But if you did like this, let me know because I am thinking about maybe adding a little bit lower effort content in the mix with my, of course, monthly higher effort content. But it would be nice to know if people liked it. Okay, bye. Thank you.